Welcome to NuttieBuddie Entertainment.
Obviously, we all have our own preference in entertainment. So for me, when you listen to me talk about it, I'm a little disappointed in it, and that will reflect my when we talk about the movie, my view of the movie, mainly because of the genre that it kind of took on. I'm not a big fan of like horror movies. I don't watch anything that's like demonic or satanic or whatever the case of me. I felt like it sort of crossed that line into the movie, and I didn't know that was going to do that. But because I told everybody we would do a review, and I watched the movie anyway, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a review on it. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Just not my favorite genre, so it will probably reflect on how I look at the movie. So I just wanted to throw that out there for all who listen. If you want, I know that Neil and Elliot, they've been on the podcast, for friends of the podcast. They on the Shootin the Bries podcast, they also talk about Doctor Strange. They're kind of, sounds like they're more into that stuff. So if you'd like to hear their viewpoint on the movie with a little less bias, I will put their link and podcast information in the description of my podcast. So our podcast, I should say. So
The Bad.
Okay, what's your first bad there, Brian?
My first bad is the Christine love story. I don't know, kind of like the points I brought up before. We are so far from that. I know he needs to let go of her and kind of move past it, but at this point, like, it's not even a thought in our heads, I really think even Doctor Strange had, like, that's something I need to revisit. He's got more important things to do than kind of worry about like where he's at with someone that he just, even before he was blipped away, he left her. There was no kind of like rekindling or anything. Once he went to learn how to be Doctor Strange, he pretty much just left her and came back to New York just to guard that sanctuary. So I don't know. Seeing a multiverse version of her was kind of cool. But once again, at the end of it, it's not like they were going to be a love connection, where she lost her Strange and he lost his Christine. So they'll get together. They pretty much left it at that. And then at the end, like you said, it's the actual like woman he ends up marrying. So.
Yeah. I actually agree with that. I didn't have it as a bad, but I do agree with you. It's like not really necessary to have in the movie. It would have been cool. Like the wedding scene would probably have been good not to have in the movie almost, and then he could have ran into Christine later in another universe just for like a cameo type thing, but they didn't have to expound on it.
Yeah. Even if we think of like, what if there was a whole episode with Doctor Strange and he was basically trying to save her from, dying. And when the wedding scene was happening and she came out onto the balcony, I thought they were going to go more into that lane of it. He can't save her, and she passes away. I think that would have been a little bit more strong. Like she actually lost her. And then if he finds another version in a different universe and they make a connection because she also lost her Doctor Strange, that would have been better, I think.
Oh, yeah. I like that, actually. Yeah. Okay, let me go to my first bad. Wanda's motivations. She's a great villain, but I don't really care for her motivation. Like, one thing that's confusing to me, and I know it's comic book accurate. I think sort of is the wrong word, but she makes up these kids, right? They're not supposed to be real, but yet they're real in other universes. So in the other universes, did she create them? Who's the father?
I think she did create them, but she was able to. Well, I don't know if she actually created him. It would have been weird. But if she actually was like, if they were actually fathered by Vision and then Vision like went away, because it seems like in every universe she said they're there, just not in this one. I don't have them. So it makes it seem like they're actually real kids, not made out of nowhere, especially with that world's Wanda not being as strong as her. Or it didn't even seem like she really had powers too. So I think they were actually her kids.
Yeah. So so that's sort of like, it's not connecting to my,
I wonder if
head.
I wonder if when, Wanda Vision was happening, the way that she was able to create the kids was pulling like kind of their essence from like the multiverse. And so she got like the kids that she actually has. So if somehow she was bringing them in from like different realities or something. So
Okay. No, I actually like that explanation. No, that makes sense to me then. But partly her motivation in Wanda Vision was
yeah.
to have vision. Like
Yeah. No,
that was
yeah,
a big part of
100%.
her characters
Yeah.
because that's who they loved
Yeah.
each other and stuff.
At the end of WandaVision, I mean, I'm trying to remember in the show, like she didn't really say anything about her kids. Like, I have to go find my kids or something like that.
No, they just had
No.
that end credit scene where she heard the kids' voices in the when she
Oh
was
yeah.
reading the Darkhold. But I just don't understand why Vision isn't a part. Like it shouldn't have been.
Yes.
She should have been wanting her family back. That's what I feel like. Why is it just the kids? And then like she's taking her kids from her in other universes, and it's just like, well, you didn't like when you had to get rid of your kids, so why would you take your kids from another version of you? You
Yeah.
know, like the
Yeah, it was a
motivation.
very yeah, it was very weak. Yeah, if we're supposed to believe that like WandaVision was her like being able to let go of Vision and put him in the past, but then she then grabs hold of something else, then what did she really learn from that?
Correct. So that's why it's like I don't know how anyone can defend Wanda as far as being a hero, because I understand she went through a lot of trauma, but every decision she made has been very evil or questionable, to say the least. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So
Yeah.
she's in fact a villain up until the very end of the movie, where she seems to have encased herself or killed herself, whatever she did. What's your next bad?
My next bad is the storyline with Mount Wanda Gore. So it was very confusing to just be like, the dark hole is destroyed, but it came from a place and we can't go there, as Wong says, but it exists. So he takes her there. And then you see like a statue of her in this like crypt and all this stuff. And it's like, well, I'm meant to be here. But we get no idea of like, okay, this has been around for how long? Someone saw into the future that this is where Wanda's going to be and where she can control things or whatever. But we don't get a storyline, saying like this is that kind of like, because I think in like the comics or shows, it's like it's some sort of, what is it, like the god of chaos or something that
Yep.
makes that book, and then uses Wanda to like basically get the full potential out of it. And we don't get any like glimpses into that or anything like that. If we were able to kind of wrap that in, especially with like the Moon Knight series just coming off of that, I feel like it would have been kind of, all right to be able to incorporate it into it, because you've opened up that world. So I don't know, that just, having this fortress that's was always meant for her just like pop up, and then she's able to use all the dream walking and stuff like that through there, and then there's those guardians or whatever that's hanging around there. I don't know, I didn't really like that part of the storyline. I thought it was just like a way to get her to amplify her powers without really having to explain much, and just be like, oh, there's this sanctuary for her, and
I agree. They should have went, because I think his name is Kathong or something like that,
yeah,
the god of chaos. And like you said, they, like in Moon Knight, we know that there's Egyptian gods or
mm-hmm.
and they're from a different realm. And you could have did the same thing with Kathong. He could have been in the same realm as Dormammu, right? In the original Doctor Strange, he could have been in a similar realm or whatever,
Yes, yep.
created it, and we could have found out more about that, but they didn't go there. So where did this come from? Why is it
Yeah.
here?
Which, even thinking now, I'm like, if they would have had him, actually be there and speaking to Wanda and being like, this is why the Darkhold's controlling her to do these things, it would have kind of given a way for her to redeem herself, because, oh, it's not the Wanda we know. It's, she's being controlled by someone and she can't, control this. So, but we don't get any kind of person or like inkling into it. And yeah, I don't know, I didn't really like that part of the movie.
I agree. And that will go into my thing that I'll just talk about real briefly. We don't have to dwell on it, but the dream walking with a dead Doctor Strange / things coming out of his eyes. So I don't know exactly what that means because so we've obviously had a couple deaths in the MCU and nobody's really dead anymore. So whatever that was with the little black people that wanted to, take him down. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That was
it didn't really make sense in it. That's the thing. Because they were in no part when she was, dream walking the other Wanda. They didn't come into character or anything like that.
Yeah, it was because
was it because he was dead?
Yes, that's why.
Okay. Interesting.
You're not, but again, it just doesn't but I guess there's no explanation of why, because it goes back to this mountain. Where did it come from? Who put it there? So now all of a sudden, whoever is allowing Doctor Strange to dream walk the version of him that is no longer alive, which, I don't know why his body was so deteriorated, considering it wasn't that long when he was buried. It was only a day or two, right? So
I want to say,
but anyway, and then those things came out and I'm just like, okay, come on. One thing that I really enjoyed so far about the MCU has been they haven't gone there yet, with demonic things.
Yep.
And everything has a place scientifically. So even Thor said in Thor, the first movie, magic is science you don't understand. When they introduced Doctor Strange, he's, they grab from the energy, sort of like the Force, right? The energy's all around him. You just got to learn to tap into that energy and use it. And you do it in different ways with hand movements, or, Agnes did it with chants or whatever. Okay, that's fine. But now you're going into a place where it's no, thank you. That's not for me. It's sort of like Harry Potter level stuff a little bit for me personally. And I was like, that's not original. What you were doing before was very original. It, kind of I liked what you were doing, but you went there and I don't know why, but you did. And that's a bad for me personally.
Yeah. I was expecting more of this from the first Doctor Strange, because, that would have been the time to open up kind of this kind of realm of it and enter that. But we got none of it. And I was like, oh, pleasantly surprised by that. And going into this movie, especially how they kind of preferenced everything, Wanda being a good guy, even in the trailers and stuff, no inkling of they're going to open up this world, which it didn't quite fit. I don't know. Even in Wanda Vision, it didn't go to this kind of area. So yeah, it didn't fit. And I don't know why they brought it in, really.
I think it was a shock factor, and I guess we'll see. They did destroy the Darkhold, so again, we'll see if they ever go there again. But yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes open for that. I guess I'll have to. Thanks so much for listening to Brian and I discuss Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of the movie. Click on the links below if you'd like to listen to the rest of our podcast, or we got other podcasts out there. We rewatched the Star Wars Episode 2 and Episode 1. That's available as well for the great, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Also down below in the details are my friends Neil and Elliot's podcast of Doctor Strange 2. They have a little bit more unbiased of a view of the movie, so go ahead and listen to their podcast as well. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and thanks so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you guys soon.